morning, ASEAN. Freshen up your world, your thought, and your idea with us every weekday from 7:30 to 8 a.m. I'm Patsurang Desha Putharangsi.
I'm Weena Dongbrasit, and it's Thursday, the 16th of May.
Yes, so one of the latest situations that we must update is concerned with the extreme storm, the cyclone that is now churning through the Indian Ocean and is expected to make a landfall in northwestern Myanmar, bordering Bangladesh.
Well, the United Nations Office for Coordination of Human Affairs, which is helping the Rakhine state at the moment, said that the storm appeared to have weakened but still threatened the 8.2 million lives living in northern India, Bangladesh, and Myanmar. And we have an interview last night that we will play for you, the officer from the UN-OCHA. Take a look.
So what would be the state of the cyclone at the moment, and could it reach the level 3 impact, which is equivalent to the ones with the Nargis?
We're closely monitoring the path of the cyclone, and it does seem at the moment to be on a slowing trend. It does seem to be headed slightly north of Chittagong, but many of the early warning systems did downgrade it from a red alert to an orange alert. That doesn't mean that there's room for complacency, and we're working very, very closely with the governments in Myanmar as well as in Bangladesh to make sure that we're having communities as prepared as possible. So at the moment, we're looking at an impact slightly north of Chittagong.
So, according to you, how do you assess the evacuations plans in the areas that are mostly likely to be hit by the cyclone?
Well, in both countries, but specifically in Myanmar, the United Nations system and international NGOs and the Red Cross, Red Crescent movement have been working in close collaboration with the government of Myanmar and the Rakhine state government to make sure that people who are vulnerable and in harm's way are moved to safe locations as much as possible. Progress is good. It's a bit difficult to quantify exact numbers at the moment, but we are working in close collaboration with the state authorities to make sure that people are moved out of harm's way.
So, talking about relocations and shelters, for example, how have support from the government been provided to the people who are evacuating, and also how does the shelters look like?
I think it varies quite considerably from location to location. Where possible, we've been looking at populations moving as short a distance as possible. So where people might have been in temporary accommodation, they've been moved to more permanent accommodation that are solidly constructed. So for instance, populations being moved into mosques or other religious buildings, schools as well, and where that's not been possible, more sort of interim structures have been built at very short notice, such as longhouses, bamboo framed structures. So really, it's working with what resources are available on the ground. Where there's permanent structures, people have been moved there. There's been very, very strong consultation with the local people and community leaders as far as possible to make sure that people are located as close by as possible in the safest possible accommodation.
Right. Now, when would an international humanitarian assistance be needed? In what sort of situation?
Well, I mean, that's very difficult to judge, but we always plan for the worst and expect or plan for the worst and hope for the best. International assistance has been offered and does remain on standby. We always work completely in support and at the request of the national government, regardless of where the cyclone might be headed. So we stand ready. In some cases, staff have been deployed either in support of the government or to buttress the efforts of particular UN agencies. I'm fully aware that many international NGOs have already pre-positioned humanitarian supplies as well as humanitarian teams who are very experienced with these contexts in potential areas of impact, both in Myanmar as well as in Bangladesh, as early as 3 or 4 days ago, in anticipation of flights being cancelled. So you know, the broader humanitarian community has already anticipated some serious impact and have pre-positioned supplies there to work in support of government efforts. But this, again, I would like to reiterate that this is always under the leadership of the government in the respective countries.
Right. Now, 8 million people approximately is still the accurate picture that we're getting about the impact people?
Yes, again, I said it's very, very difficult to sort of judge the exact nature of the tropical cyclone or tropical storm. Again, you know, we never want to be complacent or rule out the possibility of the system regaining momentum and becoming severe. But at the moment, approximately 8 million individuals is the figure that's being reported that we need to keep our eye on.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your information.
Another top story concerns the dispute between Taiwan and the Philippines, as Taiwan said it will impose further sanctions on the Philippines immediately, because although the Philippine government apologized over the death of the fisherman, it has not met Taiwan's request. Well, Taiwan Premier Jiang Yihua mentioned that the Philippines statement that described the fisherman's death as an unfortunate and unintended loss of life was unacceptable. Jiang said more than 50 bullet marks were found on Hung's boat, making it impossible to believe the action was unintentional. But a new set of sanctions included issuing a red light travel alert to the Philippines, stopping all economic, agricultural, and technological exchanges, and staging a military drill at sea south of Taiwan. Well, Taiwan has recalled its envoy to the Philippines, froze applications for work permits, and ordered military exercises in waters between the two sides to press for an appropriate apology for the fatal shooting. And Kunwina, actually, the Taiwan's action reflects the outraged Taiwanese people feel not only at the death of the fisherman, but also at the perceived inadequate response from Manila. And this is also not the first clash in many years. Experts say underlying these clashes is long-time resentment in the Philippines over Taiwan's bigger and more sophisticated fishing industry, which is able to tap the marine resources near the Philippines in ways its fishermen cannot. Yeah, and also another root cause for conflict is that the two sides are located so close to each other so that they exclusive economic zones overlapped. Yeah, and they have never negotiated a sea border, partly because the Philippines recognizes China, not Taiwan. And Beijing is actually unhappy when other countries sign territorial deals with Taiwan, which it considers as its province. Right.
We'll see what further response the Philippine government will have to this issue. Meanwhile, the Philippine government will prepay this year's $300 million worth of loans to the Asian Development Bank. National Treasurer Rosalia de Leon said the government deemed it prudent to prepay some of its foreign currency denominated debt to take advantage of low interest rates and the country's substantial foreign exchange reserves. The Philippine government will have to borrow from the domestic market, which charges nearly historic low interest rates, and use the proceeds to buy dollars from the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. The dollars will then be used to settle the loans. Alternatively, the government may also use untapped portions of the national budget to buy dollars from the central bank and prepay the foreign currency-denominated debt. De Leon said that its review of the government's borrowing portfolio, the Bureau of Treasury identified several loans in the form of official development from the ADB. Loans fit for prepayment are those that carry interest rates that are higher than existing rates and those whose terms allow for prepayment. De Leon said the $300 million covered several loans from the ADB, although a significant share of the amount was meant to finance a food security program in the country. The BSP manages nearly $84 billion in foreign exchange reserves. De Leon said state-owned firms were also being encouraged to look for foreign currency-denominated debts that could be prepaid.
Talking about the new cabinet lineup by Prime Minister of Malaysia, Najib Razak. One of the members is handpicked by the Prime Minister himself, Datuk Seri Abdul Wahid Omar. The President and Chief Executive Officer of Malayan Banking, or Maybank, has been appointed Minister in the Prime Minister's department in charge of economic planning. He would be made a senator on June 5th. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Najib announced yesterday. So the 49-year-old Joharian is among the new faces and one of the two technocrats handpicked by the Prime Minister. Abdul Wahid's vast experience in financial management and banking will go a long way in helping to continue and formulate strategies to help Malaysia achieve Vision 2020 and become an industrialized nation. In Maybank, despite heavy criticisms during his early days of the bank's acquisition of a 56% stake in Indonesia's sixth largest banking group, Bank International Indonesia, or BII, for a massive $1.5 billion by the previous management, he remained steadfast and managed to turn BII into a profitable investment. He has undoubtedly transformed Maybank into a roaring tiger, built up the brand, driven it into a new territory by making it into a regional player and delivering on its regional acquisitions, including that of Kim Eng Securities. More importantly, he has rallied the 47,000-strong Maybank staff together into transforming what it is today. Abdul Wahid also played a prominent corporate role in helping to establish commercial linkages with African countries such as Uganda, Swaziland, through the Southern African International Dialogue and Langkawi International Dialogue.
A proposal is being made to privatize airports in Vietnam. Stay tuned for that story after the break.
Vietnam's Civil Aviation Authority has proposed a transport ministry allowing foreign companies to invest in or manage second-class airports. The country needs 221 trillion dong, or around $10.5 billion to improve 26 airports across the country. This proposal would lower the financial burden on the government. Well, he told Lai Shong-tang, chief of the aviation agency, told Vietnam News that it is necessary for assistance from international investors with modern technology, experienced administrative management, and strong financial resources. The agency recommended the state-controlled key airports, including Noi Bai International Airport, the main one in Hanoi, capital city, Da Nang, Tan Son Nhat, also another main airport in Ho Chi Minh City, Long Tan in Dong Nai Province, Cam Ranh, and Na San. Well, he said second-class airports, including also Hue, Cần Thơ, Dalat, and Nha Trang, could be open to foreign investment. He also added, as for those in the second class, they suggest privatization or allowing investors to invest and operate. The operators of Changi Airport in Singapore are reportedly interested in managing Hue Airport.
We'll go for a report of a software that's meant to make school management easier. Let's take a look. Education will become an even more competitive business after the ASEAN Economic Community, particularly for institutions offering English language instruction. One way to improve school efficiency is to introduce technology in school management. For example, to manage student data. their academic records, and teachers' lesson plans to meet world standards. In Thailand, many international schools offer English as the medium of instruction. Currently, there are 88 international schools in Bangkok and 44 in the provinces. The dream to become a center for education in ASEAN is not too far out of reach. Though there are many international schools, only a few uses modern school management system in the form of software, as these software are costly and difficult to access. School management software developer in Thailand, Web Innovation, introduces school management software that is inexpensive when compared to its US and European counterparts. The software producer hopes schools and education institutions, through the use of school management software, can increase their competitiveness in the ASEAN region.
โรงเรียนครับเคยถามว่า AEC คืออะไรแล้วอบรมกันมามากมายแต่ไม่เคยบอกเลยครับว่าอุปกรณ์ใดที่จะไปช่วยที่เราสามารถเตรียมพร้อมรับสู่ AEC บริษัท Web Innovation ถือว่าเป็นหนึ่งในคำตอบของอุปกรณ์ในการเป็นเครื่องมือหลักในการที่จะสู้ AEC ได้นั่นหมายความว่าถ้าโรงเรียนของเราในประเทศไทยเราเนี่ยไม่มีความพร้อมในการจัดการฐานข้อมูลหรือไม่มีมาตรฐานกลางในการจัดเก็บหรือการบริหารจัดการเนี่ยเพราะฉะนั้นเราจะไม่มีทางเทียบเท่าหรือสู้กับต่างประเทศได้เลยเพราะฉะนั้นระบบตัวนี้เองจะเป็นระบบที่สร้างมาตรฐานในการจัดเก็บฐานข้อมูลในการศึกษาของบ้านเราและให้พร้อมเป็นผู้นำสู่ในระดับ AEC ในอนาคตใกล้นี้
My School Admin is a school management software. Being web-based, school data can be accessed anytime and anywhere. The software helps manage many school procedures, such as attendance management, timetable management, financial assistance procedures, and online management of school fees, and gives easy access to school data, such as the student's progress in every subject. It also provides interaction among parents, students, teachers, and management.
การเริ่มต้นก็คือการจัดเก็บฐานข้อมูลซึ่งทั่วๆไปโรงเรียนอาจจะไม่มีระบบฐานข้อมูลกลางสำหรับโรงเรียนเพราะฉะนั้นแต่ละฝ่ายก็จะถูกจัดเก็บข้อมูลแยกเอกเทศกันซึ่งทำให้เกิดการทำงานซ้ำซ้อนในองค์กรของตัวเองเพราะฉะนั้นการที่เรามีระบบฐานข้อมูลกลางสำหรับโรงเรียนนั้นๆเนี่ยก็จะทำให้ฐานข้อมูลนั้นสามารถเชื่อถือได้แล้วก็เป็นศูนย์กลางข้อมูลที่สามารถไปต่อยอดในรูปแบบอื่นๆได้ไม่ว่าจะเป็นการสื่อสารผ่านระบบ SMS ก็ดีส่งข้อมูลผ่านผู้ปกครองหรือส่งผลลัพธ์การเรียนการสอนถึงเด็กนักเรียนเองก็ดีนี่ก็คือเป็นส่วนหนึ่งครับที่เป็นพื้นฐานจากระบบที่เราเรียกว่า My School Admin ครับ
In terms of business opportunities, the software developer executive said the ASEAN market has high potentials. Currently, the software is distributed to the Laos and Philippine markets.
That's it for today's edition of Good Morning ASEAN. We'll see you again same time, same place, same channel.
Catch us again from 7:30 to 8 a.m. on Gumthep Thulakit TV. I'm Veena Jungprasit.
And I'm Patsurang Desha Putarang Si. สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีค่ะ